What does psychosis feel like? It's honestly pretty hard to explain because being in psychosis is a very abstract experience. It's not something most people will go through. Only 3% of the global population experiences psychosis. And while that does seem like a lot of people, it's still not that common. If you think of disorders like depression and anxiety, those are more universal. Like you can experience symptoms of depression and anxiety outside of having the disorder itself. For instance, let's say your aunt dies and you were very close with her and you're grieving that loss. So you're experiencing depression and you now know what that feels like without necessarily having the disorder of depression. Likewise, let's say you're a student in school and you have test taking anxiety and the finals are coming up for the semester and you're anxious about having to cram notes and you choke up on the day of the exam. So you've experienced anxiety without necessarily having the disorder. Psychosis is not like that. Psychosis is not a universal experience. There is nothing like it. So there really is no way of getting a frame of reference for psychosis unless you yourself have had it. Even people who are familiar with the condition and have loved ones with psychosis and care for them and see it firsthand for themselves still will never come close to understanding what it feels like. I could talk about hallucinations and delusions all day and give you the definitions and explain logically what it is, but I could never convey to you what it's like. Like I said, it's not a universal experience. It's not a common experience. So when I started trying to explain to people what my symptoms and episodes were like, I fell short of being able to explain it until I realized there is something similar, and that would be drugs. When I started using hallucinogenic drugs as an example for what psychosis feels like, I had never actually done hallucinogens, so I didn't know for myself, but what I did know is that they caused hallucinations. And from what I'd heard, a lot of the hallucinations were similar to mine, and the experience of having a bad trip was something I could identify with. So I would tell people, let's say you had an acid trip, and that lasted what, like 10 or so hours, and then it's over. So imagine if your acid trip were to last a year and you never came out of it, and it was like a million times stronger than that. Then you would understand psychosis. But the thing is, I did end up trying hallucinogenic drugs, and it was a huge letdown. It was not at all what I was expecting. I thought I was going to feel like I was in psychosis, but really I just felt like this watered down, like easy state of sort of feeling like almost like tingly compared to the big volume of noise and chaos and hallucinations. Like I just kind of felt like it was a soda can that got left open and all of the carbonation disappeared and it was flat. Like it was just a flat experience. It was nothing. It was not even comparable. It was nothing close to the intensity of psychosis. Like I said, it was easy. People around me would be having bad trips and I'd think, how can you possibly have a bad trip on this? Like, this is so easy to control. Like, I'm in full control of my hallucinations right now, and I could never do that in psychosis. So there went my example of what psychosis is like because it wasn't even close. And I struggled to find another example or analogy for what I went through that people could translate into their own experience for a long time. Because, like I said, there's nothing like it. And the one example I thought was close didn't really even touch on how it feels because it is all encompassing and it entirely takes over your entire life. Like it becomes you. So, how do I convey that to other people? And then I remembered that in one of my episodes, I was in the hospital and I would meet with the doctor almost daily, and he would ask me, how are you doing today? And I would say, oh, I had this dream that I was like walking on clouds and there were frogs falling from the sky and like I'm trying to find the frogs today. And he'd say, no, I'm not asking about your dreams. How is your day? And I would be so confused because I couldn't tell the difference between my dreams and reality. Like I knew that I had woken up, but the dreams were just as real as what was happening to me in my waking life. So even though dreams tend to be super abstract and hard to understand, I couldn't grasp outside of the dreams that my life was any different. If you think about it, dreams are nonsense. Like, the things that happen in dreams are random associations that make meaning to you, but don't make meaning outside of the dream. So let's say I was dreaming that there was a green lamp and another object, it was maybe a candy cane, and seeing the two of them made me realize, okay, I have to go to work today. And then I'd start getting ready to go to work, and it was because of the associations. So while I can logically today say that that doesn't make sense because a green lamp and a candy cane don't mean anything, when I'm in a dream, when you're in a dream, it makes perfect sense. There's no negating it. Dream logic is your logic. And when you wake up, you realize that it was very scrambled and made no sense. But while you're dreaming, it's real. You can't tell that it's not reality. Also, the kinds of things you see in dreams are outside of reality. They're dream creatures or dream landscapes, or whatever you're seeing only exists within a dream. It's not based on anything real. So when I have hallucinations, I'm seeing stuff like that is nowhere near reality. Like, I'll see figures that don't look anything like a person. I'll hear sounds that don't exist, sounds that I can't describe because there's no sound like it in reality. I'll see things that are impossible to see, like pixelated patterns and like vivid colors that are shining, like light beams made out of black and white fuzz. Like, it makes no sense, but what I'm seeing, you might see that in a dream. So could you describe the kind of things you see in dreams? Like, how do you translate that? A lot of times when people try to recall their dreams to other people, it's hard to explain the dream or even get more than like 10% of the dream right, because the thinking is abstract, the visions are abstract, the logic is abstract, it's undefinable. So as you can see, with psychosis being most akin to dreams, it's very hard to explain. It's an experience that you'll never come close to understanding until it happens to you. Even when you see it right in front of you, you won't understand the mind at all, not even close. So I hope you never experience psychosis, or if you have, I hope you stay out of psychosis. It's more of a nightmare than a dream, to be honest, but I don't want to get into the details of that because that would come with a trigger warning, and I don't want to put one on this video. Anyway, that's how it is. Like, that's what it's like for me. To the best of my ability, that's what it feels like to have psychosis.